G'day everyone, it's Brad right here from Single Malt Whisky Club. I'm at the Gresham this evening talking to Tim Grant. We're going to have a bit of a review of this month's whisky, which is the Benromach Organic. There it is, organic in a whisky, that's right. Did I hear you right? It's true, it's true, it's true.
Fully certified, yeah.
Fully certified organic, so there's no excuse for anyone not to have some of this. Do tell. An organic whiskey. What makes an organic whiskey different to a normal whiskey?
In this case, yes, a number of different things. Organic barley, obviously, is the first step. And then only water and yeast, of course. Being a single malt, there's only 3 ingredients allowed. Unpeated barley in this case, so this is the only unpeated whiskey that Benromach produce. And also fully matured in virgin oak, so brand new casks that have not held bourbon or sherry or wine, etc. previously.
So that's really interesting to me, the wood. The wood part is just so interesting because we are so used, other than an organic whiskey like this, everything that we get comes out of port or sherry or bourbon or something else that's aged in another spirit or another drink in it, hasn't it? This one is, so what we're getting here is just the effect of the wood. There's no, the residues, there's no sugars, no previous contents.
Exactly, so it's spirit plus cask equals Benromach Organic.
Which is very, very interesting, isn't it? It's
very
interesting.
Yeah. It's quite unique, yeah.
Benromach Distillery, about 120 years old now. They had their 20th anniversary edition whiskey came out last year since they reopened, so they've been reopened for 20 years. They built the distillery in 1898, from memory. And then the lads from Gordon MacPhail's bought it 20 years ago in 93,
that's it.
Completely renovated it, got it back up to scratch and got it working again. And the big interesting point about the rebuild was they omitted a few things, didn't they? They omitted computers.
Yes.
They didn't put any computers in. They didn't put any electronic measuring or monitoring gear in it.
Exactly,
They even say they don't have any gauges on their stills or anything. It's all done.
All by sight, sound, feel, smell.
Wow, so that's totally old school, isn't it? That's really going back, and that's what Benromach claimed to be about, isn't it?
Exactly, producing an old style whiskey, so a more robust, richer, full of flavoured space side, I guess, if you like. So it is.
What else can you tell us about
it? A number of different things. So the distillery, like we said, is set out to produce an old style whiskey. So 50s and 60s style Speyside, where most would have been lightly peated. So like I said, this is the only unpeated whiskey that Benromach produce. So they also use, either virgin oak or first fill casks only. So there's no second fill, third, etc. refill casks. Also only dunnage warehouses, so traditional low ceiling, 3 casks high, earthen floors, that sort of thing. Stone walls as well for insulation, etc. So a relatively constant environment for sort of gentle maturation. They also use brewers and distillers yeast, which is quite unusual. Pretty much everybody uses only distillers yeast because it's more efficient and all that sort of thing, higher yields, etc., etc. Benromach are less worried about yields and more worried about flavour, basically. So they're also the smallest distillery in Speyside in terms of capacity. So under 500,000 litres a year at full capacity, which obviously they don't often do.
There's only 3 people working in the distillery itself, isn't it? In production, isn't it? That's quite amazing.
So very hands-on, very labour-intensive, and traditionally made.
This is a non-peated Benromach, which is unusual in that most of the Benromachs are slightly peated.
Correct.
Which is a fantastic idea because we really want to see what this virgin wood tastes like. So I guess taking away that peat influence is going to sort of allow us to I guess taste the wood a bit better, you think?
Exactly.
Have a little less overheads on what we've got to sort of taste and decipher.
Plus, being relatively young, the casks haven't dominated anything. The spirit still shines through quite nice. So in this case, 6 to 7 years of age. So no exact age statement, but they do give you the year of distillation and bottling on the label there. All the Benromachs do, which is a cool little different touch. Bit of a different approach that Benromach go with, which is good.
Sure.
And all natural colour as well, by the way. So all of that colour, completely clear when distilled, obviously, being a spirit. All of that comes from the cask.
That is interesting, isn't it? Because it's a particularly golden colour, isn't it? And we normally associate that colour with more of your sherry butts and that sort of thing. We're assuming that the colour's coming out of the old sherry in the wood. I guess we're wrong, aren't we?
To some extent,
there you go. So that's the colour it comes out of. Virgin organic virgin wood that has not been tainted by any other spirit. So,
and American oak too, by the way.
American, yep, right. We'll give it a crack.
Let's please.
What do you reckon? Do you mind?
Of course.
Oh, if this isn't the best noise in the world, I don't know what is.
Lovely. Thank you, sir. Oh, very generous.
I am a generous. Well, you know what the definition of a dram is, don't you?
Yeah, 3 fingers, isn't it?
No, definition of a dram is a measure of whiskey proportional to the hospitality of the host.
Oh, lovely. Excellent.
Hence the big dram.
Yes.
Cheers, big ears.
Ganja. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So instantly there's, obviously there's no smoke, but there's fruit. Wow. What is that? There's banana?
A little bit, yeah. I find a little bit of coconut with this one.
Coconut, a bit of pineapple there I'm getting as well.
Yeah, pineapple. I find a bit of apricot as well. Sort of like a dried apricot. A little bit of malt as well, a little bit of citrus, I think. And
interesting, it's those fruity flavours, but it's not that Christmas puddingy fruit sort of flavours, is it? It's
that you'd expect from like a sherry cask or something like that, or European oak, yeah.
Well, that's interesting because I was expecting it to be a little less fruity than that without the influence of, say, sherry or another spirit giving it the flavours. So that's it's a little bit of caramelly toffee sort of on the nose, but just fruit driven, isn't it?
I think. Yeah. Even more so on the palate, I find it's more tropical fruit. Mango, maybe? Mango?
Yep. Yep, the mango. I get a what is it? Banoffee? Banana toffee pie sort of thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Going on there.
And very easy drinking too for a relatively young whiskey, thanks to that virgin oak, obviously. Plus, Benromach's careful maturation, careful production as well. So long ferments and slow distillation, that sort of thing.
And the finish on it, it's a long finish. It's slightly astringent. It's not so much chewy as what am I trying to say? It's a sort of a weird astringent yet fruity sort of thing. You can sort of feel your cheeks sucking a little bit.
Yeah, a bit peppery.
There is some pepper there.
Fruit, yeah. Which I would put down to that virgin oak again. But the idea is, nice, easy drinking, like a breakfast whiskey, if you
breakfast,
will.
You're talking my language.
Go very well.
So whiskey's not just for breakfast anymore, is it?
All times a day, right? All times a day.
Oh, that is delightful.
Lovely.
So wow, it is interesting because it feels like I'm waiting for some peat.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
To sort of come along, and it doesn't. Which is not. It's not detracting from it by any means.
Right.
It's just, I guess, that I'm what I've been grown accustomed to.
Yeah, with Benromach, yeah.
So, but it's
Yeah, it's there is a little bit of spice in the finish there, in the cask type way, like that sort of drying sort of pepper flavours, but no spirit heat. Well, I don't find anyway, personally.
Sure.
Very well made.
And the perfect, it's a 43%. I wondered if it'd have enough punch, but it definitely does.
Oh yeah. So that's Benromach's sort of robust, rich spirit, which has worked very, very well with virgin oak. Yeah. Obviously, a lighter spirit, I guess, would have a harder time to stand up to virgin oak. So this is very well balanced, I think.
Okay. Yep.
Not overly woody either, which is good.
And the fruits. Now I understand that Benromach, unlike most of the other traditional whiskey producers who are brewing for around 2 days.
Yes, yeah.
Benromach brew longer, don't they? They brew between 3 and 5 days. Is what their brewing goes through.
Correct. Yeah.
And I guess that's what's bringing out those fruity notes. Is it? The acids and the aldehydes sort of combining together a bit to give you those fruity notes? Or?
Yeah, well, I would.
The acid and the alcohol combining to form those sort of aldehydes.
Yeah. So I would put it to that, and also those 2 different yeasts as well, the brewer's and the distiller's yeast.
Okay.
So in my experience, it brings out a more fruity sort of character. Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, it's definitely a great whiskey though. No doubt about it. Now, your space ciders, your classic space ciders are going to love it because it isn't peated.
Correct. Yep.
Your
Easy.
old school space ciders might be a bit sceptical because it isn't peated.
Yes. Yeah.
But your new space ciders are going to love it because it's not peated like a new space cider. But no,
like
it's
in the last 70 years.
70
years. So, yeah.
That's pretty new.
Relatively
new for Scotland.
In whisky terms,
the whisky industry, exactly. Well, mate, absolutely fantastic.
It is delicious.
It's a beautiful dram. It's not heavy. It's not cloying. It's really full of flavour, but almost light at the same time.
Yeah, light and then fresh, even despite again the virgin oak. It's really balanced very well, I think.
To me, it's like a cross between the that sort of. I know I said it wasn't a chewy finish, but it's got that sort of chewy fruit that you get out of your your port and sherry cask sort of aged stuff. But it's also got that astringency that comes that you get in the bourbon sort of maturity.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like
it's
it's
sort of rich fruitiness and.
So I guess I guess what we're discovering, or what I'm discovering, is that so much comes from just the wood itself that you might not realise. You might, like me, be stuck in sort of thinking that it's the old stuff that's been aged in there beforehand that's gone into the wood and then is leaching back out into the thing.
Right.
But this makes it apparent that it's the wood itself has a massive part to play.
Huge part. I would say in many cases more of a part to play. Yeah.
Than what was in the barrels.
Previous contents. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. No, that's interesting. So look, for that reason alone, this whiskey is worth trying. Just to get your head around what a whiskey. It's really a whiskey that's standing on its own legs, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's got nothing from any other sort of drinks or anything like that. So it's
not copying anyone else. I mean, that's a good point actually. This was the first organic single malt when it was first released in 2006. That is. So yeah, world first at the time. Very expensive and complicated process to go through the certification and fully certified by UK Soil Association. Which is hence the virgin oak and the unpeated barley.
I remember back in 06 when they've put the first edition of this out that we featured. Yeah. And it was just kind of a revelation, you know. We were trying to work out whether it was going to be an awesome thing or it was just going to be a bit of a gimmick.
Right. Yeah.
But I think really what it's shown me is it's not a gimmick. It's a great experiment in tasting the wood.
Yep. Exactly.
So you know exactly what you're tasting. You don't have to go, you know, what's this, what's that, is this part of that, you know what I mean? It's just, that's what the wood does, and it's...
Plus the actual spirit too, of course, is still shining through, the citrus and that sort of thing is I think works really well. Yep.
No, it's a fantastic whiskey. Well, we should probably sign off and have a couple more. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Cheers. Good to see you, Tim.
You too. Thank you very much.
Cheers. And we will see you next month. Slan Shavar.
Enjoy. Slan Shavar.
Really malty too. That first bad malt.
Really, really easy. Good session whiskey.
Yeah, you could destroy a bottle of this. No time fucking flat.
Till you fall over.
Right, gets you from the legs up. Stay sitting there laughing. It's when you stand.